We're now joined by tonight's winner of the NRA 500, Kyle Busch, driver of the number 18 Interstate Batteries Toyota. This is his first NASCAR Sprint Cup Series win at Texas Motor Speedway in 16 starts. He becomes the first driver to win in all 3 NASCAR National Series at Texas Motor Speedway and now has a total of 9 wins here at Texas Motor Speedway.
Yeah, you're right. Cool.
Third driver to win from the pole at Texas Motor Speedway. First driver to sweep both April events here at the Speedway as well, and now moves into a tie for 23rd on the all-time NASCAR Sprint Cup Series win list with Hall of Fame nominee Fred Lorenzen. Kyle, you finally got the monkey off your back winning here at Texas. Talk about tonight's win.
Man, it feels good, especially Dave just mentioned, this is my 300 starts, so not a bad way to celebrate it, of course, sitting on the pole with a new track record and going to victory lane, but man, it wouldn't be possible without such a great team led by Dave Rogers and everybody back at the shop that does such a great job working on our stuff, building our cars, and making it to where we've had really good equipment. And I say that the expense that Joe put in out of his own pocket this offseason to build us some really cool cars that we appreciate. So. But tonight, it was all about staying up front, keeping it clean, and running as hard as we could. This was a fast race, man. I'm telling you, there was a lot of speed out there, and being able to carry a lot of speed throughout the turns and down the straightaways tonight, throughout the whole race. I mean, I ran 100% much of the race, so it was a tough day there for a little bit, getting loose and kind of sliding around and trying to find grip, being able to move to the middle or move to the top, but then chasing Truex there, I thought that second to last run I had a chance. I was just trying to maintain with him. I didn't want to catch him because any time that I was gaining time on him in the previous runs, my tires would get hot. I'd start fading worse than just riding with him or trying to maintain a pace with him. And so I felt like I was doing a better job at that. And then, that caution came. And as soon as that caution came, my boys stepped up to the plate and hit a grand slam. So that was really, really cool that they hit 11-7, right?
On my watch.
On Dave's watch. It's a crew chief's watch, so it's a little fast. But, it's still a pretty good stop for my guys. And but we're used to those guys. I mean, they're just so great. But they won me the race, getting me off pit road first, being able to dictate the restart, and, just run a hard pace there for the last 20 laps as hard as I could.
We're also joined by winning crew chief Dave Rogers. Dave, as Kyle alluded to, that in key pivotal pit stop there at the end. Talk about what it means to you and the team and moving forward with a win like this.
Yeah, this is just a great venue to win at. Total team effort. The guys worked really hard on this Interstate Batteries Toyota Camry all week. We came off the truck. We didn't have the speed or the balance we needed, and all the guys kept working hard. The engineers worked hard. The mechanics executed really well. Kyle drove a brilliant race. 300 races. He's got a lot of experience. He's pretty witty behind the wheel. And then we just got behind and lost the track position there. Got behind on my adjustments, and the pit crew came through with a phenomenal pit stop at the end, put us back out front. And at a track like Texas, they give every crew member a nice cowboy hat in victory lane. So it means a whole lot to the team to win here. So really excited. Good night.
We're also joined by winning car owner Joe Gibbs. Joe, we've seen Kyle come so close to winning here at Texas. What does it mean to you to finally see him in victory lane in the Sprint Cup Series?
Well, I think is what really is important is to all of our partners, everybody. Toyota done such a great job, great partners for us. Interstate Batteries, Norm. We all love Norm, hanging out with Norm. And it's great to see Interstate, our founding sponsor. When you think about it, 22 years of a partnership there with Norm and everybody. It's a thrill for us. M&M's obviously is our real partner for us too. It's a thrill for us to come here. We got so many of our sponsors are here. You got Interstate, we got Sport Clips, we got GameStop. So we got a lot of our partners are here, and we love coming and racing here. And what can you say? Today, I think, was a total team effort for the 18. Great pit stops. Dave making great calls. Kyle driving it like mad. And everybody back home, too. Everybody that works so hard back home with our cars and our motors. It was a thrill for all of us. So our partners, a big deal for us, and we're going to celebrate.
We'll go ahead and open up for questions. If you could, raise your hand. We have one, Carlos, back here.
Looks like Junior's going off on a rant.
Kyle?
Yeah, I'm right here. Sorry.
That's okay. Carlos Mendez, Fort Worth Star-Telegram. You're not a sentimental guy, I guess, but why does Norm Miller mean so much to you?
Norm's just a huge supporter of mine personally as well as professionally, and it means so much to have a guy like that on your side. And he's been one of the best people that I've been able to talk to the last few seasons, especially with Joe as well too. But a couple years ago I had an issue here, and Norm stepped up to the plate to help us finish out the season. And he's one of the best characters that we've got around, and it's a lot of fun to be able to put him in victory lane here in Texas. We've tried, we only get one shot a year because they split it between Interstate and M&M's here, but it's been so much fun to keep trying, but yet to finally pull it out and do it here tonight. And he's jacked up, dude. You ought to talk to the guy. He's fun.
What did Norm do for you, Kyle, a couple years ago?
Well, I had an issue in a truck race and unfortunately got suspended for the weekend. And then M&M's pulled their sponsorship for the final 2 races of the year, and Interstate Batteries stepped up. Norm wasn't going to let that car go the rest of the year without colors on it, so he put his on it. Takes true character, and obviously he's outrageously dependable. That's right. Write that down.
I believe we have a question in the press box.
Yes, Louis Frank of Auto Week. It's for Dave. Not discounting any part of Kyle's driving or the speed of your pit crew, how important, how key was it to have that first pit stall?
Oh, it's very important. You got to give that to Kyle. He's the fastest man in Texas. No one's ever been around this track in a stock car faster than Kyle. He laid down a nice lap yesterday, broke the track record, and that got us that #1 stall. And that was key. Even leaving the pit box, under yellow, we didn't have to spin our tires real bad and abuse them. Just leaving that clean exit meant so much. So again, that was a big deal.
This is for Joe Gibbs, Jerry Fraley of the Dallas Morning News. Joe, can you describe how far Kyle's come since that hiccup in Texas in November of 11?
I think back to last year at the end of the year. Kyle probably had some of the most bitter disappointments, I think, that's happened to us in 22 years. We missed the chase. We have Watkins Glen 1, go the last lap and get somebody else's oil. We had some issues mechanically during the year that cost us, and I think last year, at the end of the year, Kyle really handled all of those things about as good as you could handle them. I think it showed a real maturity, and I think that kind of set the course for this year, really. Dave and him, they went through some real tough things, and they have, I think they have some of the most frank conversations, and they'll both get fired up and get after each other. And but I think that's also a part of sports. As I think about it, lots of times it's like football. It's the coach and the quarterback. And that you can have some sparks, and but it's neat to see the way they've handled all that. Then this year to get off the kind of start the way we have right now. I just told Kyle, whatever you're doing, keep doing it. We don't want to change anything right now. And I do want to say a big thanks to M&M's. They're a big part of this program because you can't. This sport's unlike any other. Can't race without great sponsors. M&M's a great sponsor for us, and then they teamed up with Norm, and everybody likes Norm. So that's awesome. And the other people that we got on the car, Monster's on there, so that's great. So we got great partners, and that's what's neat for us at Joe Gibbs Racing, to have those kind of partners.
Good, Mark.
Mark Carroll, PRN. And they turn it off on you? You'd think I'd know how to turn the microphone on after all these years. Mark Carroll, PRN. For Dave and Kyle, and also for Coach, given what happened last year, and he touched on some of that, how important is, there's a long way to go in the regular season, but if you guys continue at this pace to get solidly entrenched in there are you guys going to be more dangerous potentially in the chase than you ever have been because that pressure of trying to, make it happen at Richmond just won't be there? How important is that for you guys to just sort of keep this going until you stretch out a little bit from everybody else?
Yeah, well, if it was for getting 2 wins last year, we would have made the chase. So that's what our year's all about. You got to be able to execute through the first 26 and get yourself a playoff spot, and then be able to go, battle with the rest of the guys to be able to win a championship. So, right now, obviously winning 2 races so far this year, you'd say that's a lock, but anything can happen. We've still got some work to do to get better at some of the tracks that we did struggle at last year, and we know that. One's coming up next week, so that's going to be a battle for us, just making sure that we've got a good handling car, that one that I can drive and push hard and make speed of, because that asphalt's pretty new there, So, but with last year's frustrations and everything, and coming down to that race in Richmond, we didn't execute that as we needed to, but we learned from that one, and we put that in a memory bank. We talked about it a lot, and through the last 10 weeks, I felt like we did a lot of things right. There was probably a couple things we still could have done even better yet, but you learn from those things, and Dave and I talked a lot through those weeks and through the off season, and again through the first couple weeks this year, about what we can continue to do better, to execute the end of these races, to put ourselves in the position to win and close them out, like tonight, like California, being able to do that.
Yeah, there's a lot to it. First, the momentum. Just everyone's more relaxed. It's easier working the cars. When you get behind, you don't feel like your back's completely up a wall. You can take a deep breath, think about things, and make some better decisions. But also, it just alleviates a lot of stress on the guys at the shop. There's several hundred people that work at Joe Gibbs Racing to build these race cars, and when we can come out here and knock out a couple wins pretty early and put ourselves up front in points, lets us start doing some long-term planning and making sure that when the chase comes around, we got the best race cars sitting on jack stands we know how to build. Last year with the pressure on us, trying to make the chase, we were bringing a lot of our best stuff to those last laps and using it up a little bit. We still had really good cars in the chase, but they could have been even better. So I think the early momentum really sets up the entire season.
I believe we have another question in the press box.
Yes, this is for Kyle. Kyle, this is John Sturbin from RacingToday.com. When Martin was in there, he had mixed emotions about finishing second, as you might imagine. I'm wondering, were you surprised that he was able to hang with you? Because you guys combined to lead 313 laps. I don't think anybody's surprised about you doing that, but I'm wondering, are you surprised that he was able to match your pace?
No, I'm not. He was really fast here last year, and those guys have really worked hard at MWR on their mile-and-a-half program, and sometimes people forget just how closely MWR and JGR work together, and sometimes it frustrates you there in that respect, because you've got to race a separate team, but you're still working with them, so you're kind of sharing a little bit of information there. But in the long run, it seems to help you out, and both of us were really, really strong this weekend. So, it was great to race with Martin. It was great to battle with him there and to race each other hard. I felt like our car was a little bit better than his if I could get to the clean air, because anytime we restarted, it seemed like I could stay with him and even run up on him a little bit, but I'd start slipping and heating up my tires, and then I would really start fading backwards, where it seemed like when I restarted and got out front, I just checked out. He couldn't even keep pace with me. So that I felt like we had a stronger car, and in that respect, it was just a little bit difficult to pass because we were going so fast around this racetrack, and you're using the bottom lane because there's so much throttle on time that you don't venture off the bottom for a few laps because it's just so fast around the bottom that it was good racing with them, and it's cool to see the Toyotas running up front like that.
Michael came over to the winner's circle there and really congratulated us. I appreciate that. I think JD went over and talked to Rob and said, hey, just it's one of those things that, and know that he didn't want to finish, behind us there. But I think we have a great working relationship with them, and Toyota's helped tremendously with some of the projects we can do together.
Nate?
Nate Ryan, USA Today Sports. Kyle, going back to what you said at the outset, you said that Joe had put in some expense to put some better cars on the track. Could you elaborate on that? Like what he did?
A little, just a little. Joe spent some of his personal money over the offseason to build a few new cars for each team. And, we're still utilizing chassis and whatnot from last year and just rebodying those cars and whatnot. But there was some other stuff that we wanted to try to some other cars. And instead of just completely redoing the fleet, we just did a couple cars for each team, and that was Joe. That wasn't in the budget. So we appreciate that and all those football years that he spent. It makes our race team a lot better.
Do we have a budget?
No.
I walk out of every meeting and I say, okay, I'm going to go try and make some money so you guys can throw it away. So anyway, that's kind of, you don't want to be the owner in this deal.
No, you don't.
And then secondly, for Kyle, you've got 6 wins and 13 starts between Cup and Nationwide. I know last year you had 1 win between both series. You ran a lot of races last year Nationwide, but I know things just different this year, and it's just maybe just positive overall in both series because you're not as maybe bogged down by your team. You've got Joe's help or JGR's help. It just seems like things are different.
Yeah, it's a lot of things are different, but for some reason, man, I'm telling you, I don't know what it was, but there was just a funk last year, and my wife could tell you just that. We tried so hard to change things that we were doing, but there was a stretch there where we thought finally, okay, things are heading in the right direction. We had, I think, 4 top 5s in a row. We head to Charlotte. And then, boom, right after that, 3 DNFs in a row. And it's like, oh, my gosh, here we go. Then you'd have a good run, then you'd have 2 bad runs. Then you'd have a good run, and then you'd have a bad run. You could never make up that ground that you kept losing with the bad races, So, running the KBM stuff last year as a startup team was tough in the beginning. We were a little slow, but we made a lot of strides throughout the year, and I thought we were very competitive at the end of the season. We could have won 4 or 5 races. It's just every scenario worked itself against me. And even on the Cup side, too, Dave and I, we had, 6 of the last 10 races. We had a legitimate shot to win. And just, look what happens, just stupid stuff that's out of your control sometimes. You think back to Phoenix, I think we led the most laps. And Homestead, we led the most laps. Us and Truex was up front battling for the lead and up against the wall the whole day. Didn't put a mark on the car. And then pit strategy comes into play, and we're 3 laps short on fuels, and just can't make it. Dover was another one. Just there was a funk, and I'm glad the monkey's off our back. We're riding a wave right now. It's 30 feet tall and ready to keep riding.
Randy.
Yeah, Kyle, you alluded to the new surface at Kansas a few minutes ago. That's a place you've really not had your best performances. Can you kind of talk about on this roll that you're on, how much confidence that gives you taking the new Gen 6 car to the still new track?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Obviously, I thought we were running decent there last year. I think we were 8th or 9th. Actually, I was leading, and then I spun myself out while I was leading, so that was dumb. But, hopefully we have a good car like that again this time around. I don't make a mistake like that. But, Kansas is newly repaved. It's got a winner on it now, so we'll see how that changed things. But, I still expect it to be fast, and, it's a place that you want to run well at because it is a chase race. And so we've got to develop our notes in Kansas next weekend. And fortunately, I've got a really good teammate in Matt Kenseth. He and I have been working really well this year, so I haven't mentioned him at all tonight. But, his team and our team have been really, really good with one another. And unfortunately, Denny's not with us right now at this point where we're not being able to use the 11 cars notes much because we're kind of driver of the week over there. But, it feels really good to have good chemistry between all 3.
They won the last 2 races there, Matt. Last year,
Yes, this is...
Yeah. Yes. Okay. So I need to talk to him. Definitely. That would be good for me.
We have a question in the press box.
This is for Dave Rogers. Dave, this is John Sturban from RacingToday.com. These 1.5-mile tracks are engine killers, and yet Toyota has one here in Vegas, also at California. Has that been an area of special focus for your team and Toyota as far as development?
Well, Toyota's done a phenomenal job of developing a motor package. It's interesting. Like Kyle said, at the end of last year, we had a shot at winning a lot of races and just come up a little short for one reason or another. And we were testing yesterday. Kyle hasn't said anything about motor all year. We were testing the other day, and he's like, "Wow, what motor's in this? This is terrible compared to what I'm used to." And I'm like, that's your motor from last winter." That just shows how much progress Toyota and TRD has made in building these motors. They really went to work hard over the winter. They're putting out a lot of power right now, and it shows up at places like California. We had really good speed at Vegas, came up short. Matt got the win, but we had really good speed at California and really good speed here. And you can't overlook the motor department. Those folks out in California are doing a great job for us right now.
I'm going to come back down here, Bob.
Bob Piper, Sporting News. Kyle, you kind of smacked the wall just a little bit there at one point, and then you may have had contact with Blaney coming down pit road. Is that just par for the course and winning a race?
Yeah, they can't always be pretty. But, no, the turn 4 deal, it just took an awful set through the exit of the corner. It started to slide a little bit, like it was getting loose, and I just corrected just minuscule, and that thing took off to the right, and so I was way out of the gas and just trying not to flat side it, and fortunately it just nicked the bumper. I don't think it hurt it too bad. It may have shifted the tail some, but it took me a few laps to kind of feel it out and figure out what was really going on, and it felt like I made it looser in and looser off, which we've been battling with all day. And, there, that pit stop deal, the previous stop, actually, the green flag stop, the 7 was in front of me on that one as well, and I came in and I followed him on that one, and I felt like I lost too much time on it. So this time around, the exact same scenario happened. It was the exact same laps. We were in the exact same situation, so I was like, I'm not following him this time. I'm going to put myself out there as best as I can to make up or not lose time, and I got on the outside of him, and fortunately I had enough room between he and the cone. We touched just a little bit, no big deal. But, that 16, 18 feet that I got right there is a lot in this sport. So you got to get what you can get.
Go ahead, come back down here. Go ahead.
Yeah, Zach Seminar, Cup Radio Incorporated. Kyle, that final caution, 20 laps to go, it looked like you might have been gaining on Truex a little bit there. If that thing goes green, do you have enough to get to him? And if you get to him, do you have enough to get around him?
That's a lot of ifs. And fortunately, I don't really have an answer for you, but I'd like to say that we had a shot at him. It's definitely traffic can come into play, and tire wear. Obviously, I was trying to maintain my tire wear a little bit better on that run, and I felt like I was maintaining with him a little bit better that run, to where I could have a shot at it coming down late in the going. So I was just trying not to slip a tire as best as I could, and he was coming to me a little bit, but it was going to be tight. It was going to be close.
Mark Garrow, PRN. Kyle, 300 Cup starts here tonight. You're 27 years old. What do you think of the numbers that you've put up at you haven't even reached the big 3-0 yet, and you're triple digits as far as all 3 series, as far as victories. But what do you think of when you try to put all these numbers together?
Well, unfortunately, there's a guy named Jimmy Johnson out there that has absolutely murdered the stat book for the rest of us. So, it's great for who I am and for what I've done and been able to accomplish in this sport, and I'm very thankful for that. And I've got a lot to be thankful for and a lot of people to be thankful to, including this man sitting next to me, both of them. But, of course, you always wish that your stats were a little bit better. I'd love to say that I've had, 50 wins by now or something like that. But, you take everything with a grain of salt as best you can, and we'll continue to work hard. Hopefully we can win some more this year and continue to increase that number and for many years to come.
Carlos?
Carlos Mendez, Fort Worth Star-Telegram. Did you spend any part of last year or even your career driving without confidence?
No, I don't think so. I got plenty of confidence. I'll drive her off in there until I see God not lift. I'm telling you, that's not a problem. First laps
I
of
can
California.
back him up on that.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. So, like I said, just some things just didn't quite go our way last year. But, we're fortunate enough to be in 2013 now and running strong and doing good for Monster Energy on the nationwide side, and for Interstate Batteries and M&M's and everybody on the Cup side.
We'll come down to your right.
Joe Lecce, ticket in Dallas. Did not making the race last year change your focus in the offseason and on the, I guess, the result, the fast start here because of maybe changes you made in the offseason?
The race for the chase?
Yes.
Is that what you mean? We were close. We were 3 points from making it, and if it wasn't for a brake rotor exploding at Pocono or maybe a motor issue here or something else there, we would have made the chase. But unfortunately, we didn't. It was tough. It was really, really tough to have to go through that. But we bounced back, and we ran really strong in the final 10 weeks. And, we wanted to carry that momentum over into this year. It didn't start out that way in Daytona, unfortunately. And then again in Phoenix, we put the race on my shoulders, and I didn't do a very good job carrying it, so that was my bad. But then, since then, we've talked and we've worked, and we continue to grow and making our cars fast each and every weekend. So right now it's having good stuff, having good communication, having our people with their backs not against the wall, and everybody being able to work and work smart.
Any additional questions? Gentlemen, congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate it.